The Concept 2.
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Riche. Monsieur de Richet, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
C'est très mieux faire politique.
Is there nothing you want to say, Louis?
It wasn't me. I didn't kill her.
I'd much rather have met you under different circumstances.
Lord Mortimer, believe me, I'm very conscious of the gravity of the situation. Everything seems to point to me as the one who killed Elizabeth, but I swear I am innocent.
Out of respect for your mother, rest assured that I do want to believe you.
And all... I want is to be able to prove it to you. When do we start?
We already have. Tell me, Louis, how do you feel?
My lord, don't take this wrong way, but what do you mean by a question like that? You find me unconscious in front of Miss Adams' body and you ask me how I feel?
I am very serious, Louis. I'm concerned for you.
Where are you going with this, my lord?
Sarah's behavior grew odd before her disappearance. Her attitude changed. She became prey to outbursts of violence and a number of temporary absences. I'm just trying to make sure that you don't go getting lost like your mother did.
You're not suggesting that I might have killed Elizabeth and that I don't remember, are you?
I don't know, Louis. It's just that what with your mother and now you, it's rather a lot. The more I take stock of the situation, the more I'm under the impression that you've been set up. But before going any further, I must inform you that Sir Gregory is about to arrive. He is coming to question you about the murder of poor Elizabeth, whom he was very fond of. He is quite determined to find the culprit, whomever they may be. So, convince him of your innocence. Then we can continue this conversation.
William, I would like to see you a moment before we begin. In private.
Let's step outside a moment. Louis, this will only take a few moments.
Let's take this chance to look around. The nightmare painted by Fuseli, and Carmelite water will give me a little reprieve. Great. Honey. Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming. Arugul. Which four-letter word could open this chest? Which four-letter word could open this chest? Which four-letter word could open this chest?
Ah, putain. J'étais à me dire c'était que le dieu de la foudre. Qu'est-ce que j'ai là? Même.
Please, sit back down, Louis.
This sort of behavior is not working in your favor, young man. Monsieur de Richet, you were found standing over Miss Adams' body. We must shed some light on your responsibility in this tragedy. We shall then decide on your fate. But you must know that if you do not convince us of your innocence, it will cost you dearly. Now you are going to tell us everything that happened last night, without leaving any detail out. First things first, how did your evening begin?
I was in the corridor and I was about to go to bed. Elizabeth appeared as if from nowhere and rushed toward me. She took me by the arm and led me to her room.
You say she led you? All right, we'll accept that. Continue.
We were heading for our rooms when Elizabeth burst into the corridor, barely dressed. She was panic-stricken and insisted on speaking to me. So I found myself in Elizabeth's room. We sat down together. She insisted we have a drink or she would refuse to confide in me.
What exactly did she want to speak about at such a late hour?
She was panicked. She claimed she had just seen my mother on the island.
Did she say where she saw her?
I seem to remember something about cliffs.
Let us continue. And what happened next?
Then she told me she had poured laudanum in... glass. The next minute I was on the floor. When I woke up, she was lying in a pool of blood.
That is all you have to say? You expect us to believe that you have no idea what happened to her?
Yes, because I'm telling you the truth.
How can you possibly expect us to believe you?
Gregory, we must consider every possibility. Louis, do you have any idea who could have done it?
Why don't you ask him where he was last night?
Monsieur Peru, what would his motive be? Do you have any proof?
No, not exactly, but he'd already roughed her up once.
Monsieur de Richet, you should not accuse the first person to come along without at least some proof. I'm sure you are worthier than that.
Can you think of anyone else?
Well, even if I can't believe for a single instant that my mother could have murdered someone in that manner, she might have wanted to stop Elizabeth from speaking about their mutual past. And things might have turned nasty.
It is indeed a possibility.
I would like to thank you for helping us shed light. What happened last night? To be honest, you are not the only suspect. Prepared to believe you were dropped. Our poor Elizabeth hid the stuff everywhere, and I could smell laudanum on you 3 yards away.
So you knew it wasn't me from the start?
We weren't sure. Louis, I am sorry, but everything points in the same direction. I only know one person on this island who might have had a big enough grudge against Elizabeth, who has no alibi, and whose behavior is, well, suspect. Not to mention dangerous.
Tell me what happened before my arrival. I think I've been patient enough.
You don't need us for any of this. So come along, Monsieur Peru. We are leaving.
Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
When I first came here, I wasn't that worried. In the past, my mother has taken a few liberties during her missions, including disappearing for several days on end.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the cannon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it. Yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having the support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
See, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
If only my mother had trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Maybe she found something out.
What do you mean?
My mother has a gift for investigating. If she had picked up a lead, nothing would have stopped her.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
The armistice between the Russians and the Turks. Russia's come out of it having officially won Crimea, which gives it direct access to the Black Sea.
And, at the same time, the Mediterranean Sea. I'm worried about the decisions Tsarina Catherine might decide to take. She's a woman who managed to get rid of her husband to accede to the upper reaches of power. Gaining access to the Mediterranean Sea remains her main objective. When she still had that dear Potemkin as her lover, I could always find out about her intentions, but those days are over.
You're speaking of Grigory Alexandrovich Potemkin?
The very man. The little devil behind the mother of all Russians. Since his death, I know absolutely nothing of what the Tsarina is up to.
Oh, really?
Ah, yes. I didn't mean to shock you. Please forgive me. Let's just say that, in my position, it is often advantageous to know about the habits and customs of world leaders.
I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Unfortunately, my lord, the Crusades are not my chosen field.
Well, it doesn't matter. You have plenty of time to learn. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite... Lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know. But I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
Emily has a twin sister? Who knew my mother? What's she playing at, goddammit? That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shut... Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself... away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you. The room was just opposite Mortimer's study.
There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in... Faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the more... What is this disc? The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. Open sesame. It's open. A chest with the occult symbol representing air. The New Testament. volume of the Gutenberg Bible.
Ah putain, je déteste ces trucs comme ça. Oh.
I guess I'll just come back later. It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni.
Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Reni. St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. I don't know, what does that mean? So we have the figure 11 twice underlined, and a story of a group of pilgrims who it looks like Paul is speaking to. Maybe it's a code. There must be a connection. A text on Paul must be somewhere, and it must be associated with the figure 11. But what's the story with these pilgrims? I mean, a connection with the figure, maybe? St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. I don't know, what does that mean?
Page 11, verset 11, un truc comme ça.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy.
Oh, wait. A note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say?
Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle.
What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that? St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him. He's the youngest apostle. Right. This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer. The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course.
There's something written behind the painting.
On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? On the second day, the pilgrims listened to the prophecy of the young apostle. The prophecy of the young apostle, that was John. And the prophecy mentioned is most likely the book of Revelations according to St. John. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. But he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness hath blinded his eyes. And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page. The writing, it's not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? Now, therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one another. Why do ye not rather suffer injustice? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Ah, look, here's a message. It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6.
what man is there of you, whom, if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone? Even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my bonds. And in defense and confirmation of the gospel, ye all are partakers of my grace.
Que c'est que 6.
Then came together unto him the Pharisees, and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness. Honor thy father and thy mother, as this is the first commandment.
There's something else behind this painting.
It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth.
What the hell does that mean?
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Or what man is there of you, whom, if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone? Then they suborned men, which said, We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against God. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for all have sinned. Honor thy father and thy mother, as this is the first commandment.
A volume of the Gutenberg Bible.
And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. But he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness hath blinded his eyes. St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. Of the 4 apostles shown in this piece, Paul is the only one who isn't an evangelist. He is the 13th apostle. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust. It's as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. I don't know, what does that mean?
Ah.
It's too cumbersome for me to unhook here, but judging by the dust, it hasn't been moved for months, if not years. No, nothing of value here. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. It says, "Count in the dust." All right, let's do it. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. Choosing the Hebrew alphabet is no coincidence. It's got to be a reference to the Bible. There are finger marks, deliberately drawn in the dust. 8 in all. That's what the message in Hebrew spoke about. Hebrew 8. Thou hast put all things under his feet, for in that he put all in subjection under him. He left nothing that is not put under him. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's see tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's see tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him.
Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. How shall not the ministration of the Spirit not be more glorious?
Donc ça va être un secte.
It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them.
And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6.
Then came together unto him the Pharisees, and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet. I guess I'll just come back later. Chest with the occult symbol representing air. St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni. There's nothing worth noticing here. No, nothing of value here. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come? Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. A fierce opponent of the first Christians, St. Paul is suddenly struck by the call of Jesus Christ and converts. It's the best known conversion in Christian history, which teaches us that even enemies of Christ can be saved, and even become his greatest apostles after finding faith. From what I can recall, the account of his conversion could be found in the epistles to the Galatians, the Philippians, the Corinthians, and the Acts of the Apostles. This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. Because we look not at the things that are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of...
Parce que je crois que j'aurais dû lancer le point exil.
Not in the lustful desire, even as the Gentiles who knew not God. Hereby know that we dwell in him, and he in us, because he hath given us of his Spirit. Hereby know that we dwell in him, and he in us, because he hath given us of his Spirit. Saying with a loud voice, worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power, and riches, and wisdom, and strength, and honor, and glory, and blessing. And so it was that, while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. Not in the lustful desire, even as the Gentiles who knew not God. And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh.
great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore.
Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come? Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. Now, there is a Jerusalem by the sheep market, a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. And said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh.
Ah putain, je t'ai... Ouais, je vais avoir la tête en sang tout à l'heure.
Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. I guess I'll just come back later. Now, there is a Jerusalem by the sheep market, a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's see tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him.
Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul.
Not in the lustful desire, even as the Gentiles who knew not God. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient toward all men. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient toward all men. How shall not the ministration of the Spirit not be more glorious? Whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly, and whose glory is in their shame, who think only of earthly things. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. And ye know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin. Because we look not at the things that are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Hereby know that we dwell in him, and he in us, because he hath given us of his Spirit. And he became very hungry, and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. There's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? I'm guessing it's a metaphor. I need to figure out what this means. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious.
It's time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon.
You are expected in the small salon, sir.
An old sesterce from Roman Gaul.
Emily, I must speak to you.
What's the matter, Louis?
I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look, I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
Must have been Emma I saw in my vision.
I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay. If Mother's really killed her sister, I'd better find her by myself. They say they spent a lot of time together. They got along well.
Oh, really? Do you think your mother liked Duchess Hillsborough?
Of course she did. After all, she's your sister. Well, we'll find them, Emily. Trust me.
Should I speak to her about my vision? If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge. I better keep that to myself for the time being.
Come, Lou. They're waiting for us.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
That's right. Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice. Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. Don't forget where you are, please.
What's going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest. But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
And who is this charming character?
Manuel Godoy, the Duke of La Alcudia. He's the head of the Spanish government, Monsieur de Richet. He's the one who, in practice, controls Spain.
How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mío, you are all out of your minds!
Really, Duke Manuel? What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined. What?
Oh, no.
The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before. How dare they?
Oh, dear.
Oh, as if...
Gracious.
Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous. Bastard. He was sentenced to death by 361 votes to 360. You beheaded a king for one vote. Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until this, anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please. Let us take a step back a moment.
In the name of holiness. He was the highest representative of God in France, Emily.
Gentlemen, Duchess, we're all among people of reputable company here. We should be able to manage the conflicts of our nations in a respectful and orderly manner.
I fully agree with you, sir. But that's enough, sir.
With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Richet.
Are you related to Sarah de Richet?
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you. Well, Your Grace, here I was preparing to introduce you, as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here. In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you, too. Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Well, let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
To hear you speak, you seem to know my mother well.
Not really. We met for the first time on this very spot, some weeks back. We had a very pleasant discussion. She's an exceptionally learned lady, with a good head for business, and no need for me to tell you that.
I agree.
Did she tell you about our arrangement?
The cat's out of the bag now. More or less, but please do refresh my memory.
Yes, of course. Nothing of great importance in itself. During one of our discussions, she spoke of an old book which might have been of interest to me, and she had agreed to let me have it.
A book about what?
Ancient occultism. As you are aware, I am a doctor of theology. You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
The least one can say is that he doesn't beat around the bush. Sarah never travels without a few books. What does the one you're looking for look like exactly?
It resembles a grimoire. It's divided into 7 parts, each one individually locked. It was made in such a way that if someone tried to tamper with it, the sheets would be permanently tarnished. It's a unique copy. There's only one.
The mere mention of it makes his face light up. Well, I'll take a closer look, but I can't promise you anything. You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession. I thought it was with a certain von Borchardt in Paris. Do you know him?
I've never heard of him. I'm sorry. I haven't been much help to you.
Well, too bad.
I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. von Volner, and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, von Volner. You're the one who von Borchardt was planning to sell it to.
For centuries, all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Richet. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess. Your dear king, I should think.
What? You mean Frederick William? Oh, my poor fellow. You are miles away. That stupid, pretentious puppet wields no real power. But seeing as you do not wish to be serious, so be it. Good luck to you.
Hey, these look like pages taken from an ancient encyclopedia. There's a pattern with 5 circles on this chest. All right, I've retrieved everything. Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
I'm sure that a soldier such as yourself is not interested in vulgar rumors.
Quite right. If only this cursed gossip didn't come to stain the uniform he has the audacity to wear.
Don't you find him worthy?
But how could he be, monsieur? He never sets foot on the battlefield, too occupied with charming the queen. Have you any idea of the number of titles that coward has won in just a few years?
No, not really.
10! And that Don Juan spends the best part of his time under the queen's skirts. The bugger must have some hidden talent, given all of the gifts she gives him.
I understand your point of view. Does expression go beyond the nightmare mean anything to you at all?
Well, metaphorically, yes. It sums up the career of a soldier quite well. I doubt that is what you want to hear, though.
Indeed. That's surely not what I'm looking for.
Well, monsieur, if you are looking for a phrase book, Lord Mortimer must surely have one, given the number of books he has. You ought to check in the library of the tower. You never know.
Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, huh?
Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
Honey, I couldn't have hoped for better. Saturn devouring his sun. Good God, how awful. Everything in this painting is disturbing. It's the first time I've seen brushstrokes like this.
What can I do for you, sir? I am at your service day and night, sir.
As I was unable to bring my personal effects with me, I was wondering if you could find me a few items.
Of course, sir. What would you require?
You wouldn't have a little golden elixir I could use, would you?
Oh, unfortunately, sir, I have orders not to give any of that medicine to any of Lord Mortimer's guests. Some guests are here to follow a very strict treatment. Mixing or combining certain substances would be dangerous for sir.
A little Carmelite water would do me a lot of good. Could you find me some, please?
Oh, the tonics are under lock and key, sir. Lord Mortimer only allows access to them in cases of emergency.
What? That's the last straw. Lord Mortimer himself asked me to take the sea to join him here. I accepted out of kindness. The voyage was undertaken in conditions that I preferred. Speak about. And then at long last I arrive and you refuse me a simple flask of Carmelite water?
No, sir. I...
Your name. Tell me your name.
Here, sir, your Carmelite water. Please accept my sincerest apologies. If sir requires anything else whatsoever, sir has only to ask.
You wouldn't have a little golden elixir I could use, would you?
Oh, unfortunately, sir, I have orders not to give any of that medicine to any of Lord Mortimer's guests. Some guests are here to follow a very strict treatment. Mixing or combining certain substances would be dangerous for sir.
Yes. What can I find on the second floor?
That floor is strictly reserved for Lord Mortimer, sir. In the west wing, on the second floor, are his private chambers. In the east wing are the rooms reserved for Lord Mortimer's personal guests. At the moment,
These rooms are reserved for Sir Holmes, sir. But only authorized guests may access that area. Does Sir have any more questions?
I would like to speak about your master, Lord Mortimer.
Do please excuse me, sir, but I shall make no comment about my master. Is there anything else that Sir would like to know?
What can you tell me about the guests?
Do excuse me, sir, but I am bound by discretion to say nothing about Lord Mortimer's guests, sir. Perhaps Sir would like to know something else?
Blind Oedipus blinded him fall of the damned by Reuben. Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
What do you mean?
The situation is ready to explode with France over Catalonia.
Well, the Duke must have a darn good reason to be absent and come here, mustn't he?
When Lord Mortimer invites you, Louis, you come. It's always in your best interest.
I wouldn't say that personally, but... Mr. President, can you tell me a little more about the coming conference?
Of course, Louis. That's why we're here. Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory regularly organize meetings like this to put forward major projects.
What do you mean by major projects?
I'd prefer to let Lord Mortimer explain that to you, Louis. Let's say he brings together influential people in order to consider possible actions to undertake to guarantee the future of nations.
Do you know the theme of the conference?
Not in the slightest. None of the guests know the theme before arriving. But you'll see. Everything will turn out fine. Don't worry.
Go beyond the nightmare. Does this line remind you of anything in particular?
You've caught me unaware here, Louis. Let me think about it a second. No, nothing comes to mind. Sorry, Louis, but I am unable to help you.
Well, thank you for your time.
Don't mention it, my young friend. Regarding your question on the nightmare, don't hesitate to question the others about it. Maybe one of them knows more than I do.
That's a good idea. Thank you once again. I'll see you in a little bit.
Monsieur Napoleon Bonaparte.
What do you want, Louis?
What do you think of our last guest?
Well, I never thought I would get the chance to meet that Hispanic Casanova in the flesh. His reputation is well known. The gentleman collects lovers, including, would you believe it, the Queen of Spain.
The Queen of Spain likes to indiscreetly say, the King, Godoy, and myself make up the Holy Trinity. The people have appropriately renamed them the Goat, the Ruffian, and the Whore.
I didn't see you being a mudslinger in your idle hours, I must say.
Emily, what can you tell me about the coming conference?
Sir Gregory and Lord Mortimer organize this kind of high society meeting every so often in order to consider the world situation.
But to what purpose?
Well, by bringing together the most influential people from the dominant nations of the modern world, they allow the mighty to discuss matters with calm clarity. There are precedents of armistices being signed at the end of these talks, you know. Talking while holding a glass of brandy makes things easier. You'll see. You're leaving me?
Unfortunately, I have things to do. Thank you again, madam.
Monsieur Johann van Vulner.
Circe preparing wine. What better chap for Ulysses?
Ah, Louis. Just the man. Good Lord. How did the king come to be executed? I would think that the order would have intervened.
Your Eminence, I haven't been following the case. I'm sure that the order did everything in its power. Unfortunately, you know the situation in Paris, and, well, it's chaotic at best. Anything can happen in those revolutionary tribunals.
The king
is the official representative of God on earth, my son.
Your Eminence, France has become a secular state. The king was just another citizen to them. He refused to admit his errors, looked down upon them, and attempted to escape. What did he expect?
France has lost all reason, Louis.
I invite you to speak about it with my mother as soon as she reappears.
Is there any news of her?
I hope it won't be long before I find her, Your Eminence.
Louis, I'm counting on you. If you don't find Sarah before my departure, I must ask you to give me back the letter I gave you.
Oh, don't worry about that, Your Eminence.
Now you wanted to speak to me.
I was wondering what to think of that Manuel Godoy.
He is reputed to be a very ambitious character, at every level. But his faith is unwavering. He is a staunch defender of the church. You can believe me.
As to his faith, I have no doubt. However, his ambition seems to surpass his morality, and I hope that it will not sully the crown.
You can say that again. The blue eyes of the latest Infanta, Maria Isabel, have left everyone wondering.
Rumors always accompany men of power, Your Eminence.
Naturally. But the number of awards and titles granted by the Queen during these past 4 years leaves little doubt.
So, Godoy really is this out-and-out rascal who uses his charm on the Queen. Thank you for everything, Your Eminence. I shan't take up any more of your time.
You are welcome, my son. I will be seeing you, Louis.
The lock is surrounded by a triple circle. All right. I've retrieved everything. Truce. The Miller brothers. Mother expressly forbade me from reading it.
A Byzant from the Byzantine Empire. A coin often used during the St. Louis era.
Truce. The Miller brothers. Mother expressly forbade me from reading it. Truce. The Miller brothers. Mother expressly forbade me from reading it.
song of Roland. Roland feeleth his death is near, his brain is oozing by either ear. With his brain oozing, it's already remarkable that he can feel anything. Amber crystals.
There's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid. Golden elixir. Honey, the remedy of the gods. Fragment of amber.
Je crois pas dire que c'est pas un gelé, mes mains, putain.
What do you want, Louis?
I have a question that might seem a bit strange, but...
Go on.
If I said, go beyond the nightmare, would that mean anything to you?
No, means nothing to me. Do you mean literally or figuratively speaking?
It can be a place. I don't know where, but it's a lead, I think.
You ought to ask His Eminence. He knows the house and its estate very well, being a frequent visitor. I believe he's in the Grand Salon.
Thank you for your advice.
You're leaving me?
Unfortunately,
You're leaving me?
I have things to do. Thank you again, madam.
Now you wanted to speak to me.
If I say the nightmare to you, does it make you think of anything?
Your question is strange, my son. Difficult to say. Could you at least tell me a little more about the context?
Think of a place and tell me the first thing that comes into your mind when I say the nightmare.
Let me think. I'd say Lord Mortimer's favorite painting on the wall behind his desk. You know, that painting caused quite a stir when it was exhibited. It is titled The Nightmare, and it shows a woman lying down with a creature sitting on her, and in the background, a horse. I don't know if it will be of any help, but I can't think of anything else.
You never know. Thank you for that, though, Your Eminence. I gotta go and see it just in case, though. Thank you for everything, Your Eminence. I shan't take up any more of your time.
You are welcome, my son. I will be seeing you, Louis.
Bon, moi j'ai refait une zone en plus.
So, what did my mother mean by going beyond the nightmare? Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming. Book of the Mortimer family. Book of the Mortimer family. A family ancestor, apparently. Painting about a siege, dated. Might come in handy. A minor bird. Well, Waldo, is your master good? Sarah de Riche? Waldo, you know Sarah? Well, Waldo, is your master good? I don't really know what I was expecting. Sarah de Riche? Waldo, you know Sarah? What? Repeat that, Waldo. Sarah? What about Sarah? Good God, what's been happening here? It looks like a war painting. It's dated. Le Coup de Lance by Paul Rubens. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. As if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Let's take a closer look. These chocolates are probably a protocol gift. Everybody in Europe loves them nowadays. Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France, has her own personal chocolate maker at Versailles. They say it's her guilty little morning ritual before getting dressed. A cup with 1 sugar and some vanilla, if I remember rightly. I would be surprised if Mortimer has them delivered straight from South America. Dark chocolate beans. Very bitter. They're greatly prized in high society. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. As if Mortimer is fond of the nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. This must be what my mother was talking about. Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere.
The Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Ah, this must be what my mother was talking about. Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere. Aha! I found it. Oh, what on earth is this? A ring lock now? Great. That's all I needed. It's a complex mechanism. Looks like the third ring is a bit seized up. It gets stuck on number 9. It's a complex mechanism. Looks like the third ring is a bit seized up. It gets stuck on number 9. Hey, there are 2 dates on this painting. 1154 AD and 5154 AL. The 2 dates most likely relate to 2 calendars. The Gregorian calendar and the Freemason calendar. Coup de Lance by Paul Rubens. It's Christ on the cross as Longinus pierces his side with a spear. Rubens, he was a great painter. Coup de Lance by Paul Rubens. It's Christ on the cross as Longinus pierces his side with a spear. Rubens, he was a great painter. This painting isn't finished. It looks like Mortimer probably did it. Not bad, but you can't exactly say it's been done in the style of the period. History of the First Crusades by Pierre Amédée de la Salle. Hey, the dates indicate AL, and it looks like 4,000 years have been added to our calendar. Oh, that counting system again. The author is Pierre Amédée de la Salle, none other than the Grand Master of the Masonic Lodge of Paris. Now I understand why the dates are offset. He's using dates based on the Andalusis, year 0 of the Masonic calendar, by adding 4,000 years to the Gregorian calendar. But I thought that calendar starts in March. The famous call from Pope Gregory VIII in his Audita Tremendi Bull of 5,187. Oh, the crusade where Richard the Lionhearted distinguished himself. It states the first sea blockade of Saint-Jean d'Acre was broken in the 12th month of 5,190 AL, whereas the siege had been going on for 2 years. The famous call of Pope Urban II. 20 years after the capture of Jerusalem from the Arabs by the Turks, Urban II convened the council. He promises a plenary indulgence to Christians who go and get Jerusalem back from the Turks. The result, the Jewish community on the road to Jerusalem found itself persecuted for no reason. 12,000 Jews would perish, not to mention the massacre of Ma'ara, where acts of cannibalism by Frankish crusaders were reported, or even the capture of Jerusalem, where approximately 30,000 were left dead. It signaled the beginning of centuries of wars of religion. The famous call of Pope Urban II. 20 years after the capture of Jerusalem from the Arabs by the Turks, Urban II convened the council. He promises a plenary indulgence to Christians who go and get Jerusalem back from the Turks. The result: the Jewish community on the road to Jerusalem found itself persecuted for no reason. 12,000 Jews would perish, not to mention the massacre of Ma'ara, where acts of cannibalism by Frankish crusaders were reported, or even the capture of Jerusalem, where approximately 30,000 were left dead. It signaled the beginning of centuries of wars of religion. Or how Louis VII, King of France, eager to be pardoned for the death of thousands of innocent people in the fire of the Church of Vitry, convinces the Pope to authorize him to lead his own crusade. The result, in Germany, a new outburst of violence against the Jewish community, and a monumental fiasco by poor Louis VII, cuckolded by his wife's uncle.
T15.
Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter. Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter. Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter. A painting depicting the Third Crusade. It's titled Winter Before the Fall of Saint-Jean d'Acre. Siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre was a major conflict during the Third Crusade. Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus fought to take the town back. It was the Crusaders' first operation to take back the Kingdom of Jerusalem. From what I know, the fall of Saint-Jean d'Acre took place in the summer of 1191. Now, according to this title, it's wintertime on the painting, so it can't have been late in the year of 1191. It must be in the first months of that year, probably in January or February of that year. I get the impression I've seen that before. In fact, I've read something on the Crusades before in the study. He clearly loves the subject.
See,
Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter. Hey, there are two dates on this painting. 1154 AD and 5154 AL. Coup de Lance by Paul Rubens. William Alexander Mortimer I, the 12th month of Anno Lucis, 5190. That's a funny date. The date's calculated in Anno Lucis. The 12th month is February? So that makes it February 1191. That date in 5000 is something again. I wonder what in the world it means. That date in 5,000 and something again. I wonder what in the world it means. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Damn it. Doesn't work. 5,190. I was pretty sure it was right. Maybe I didn't use the right date. Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter. 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 Damn it. Doesn't work. 5,190. I was pretty sure it was right. Maybe I didn't use the right dating system. Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter. Doesn't work, damn it. I really thought I was close. 1,190. Isn't the right date when you subtract 4,000? I must have missed a subtlety.
Et il me prend sa clé. Hein.
Open sesame. Let's see what you've been hiding, Lord Mortimer. Moreover, it shows a fair number of sea voyages being organized towards the American continent. No doubt with slaves. How many men are broken in this trade? Tens of thousands each year, according to what people say. It shows the forces present in Africa. This is unexpected activity in this sector. It looks like there are also many unknowns, even for Mortimer. Weakness of the Human Psyche by Guillaume Trimore. He says, it is possible to drill an idea into someone by constant daily repetition until the mind gives in.
Some of those forces are pushing toward the west. On it, Mortimer's placed little feather symbols at different points, toward which the Spanish are headed. Could he be fueling Indian resistance to slow down Spain? This shows the forces present in America. Looks like a campaign is being prepared in France in favor of Italy. Could Mortimer have decided to finance a war? It shows the forces present in Europe. It's clear that France is surrounded by her enemies. However, a large number has been underlined in bold. 26 million. I know what it is. It's an estimation of my country's population. All our neighbors have far fewer inhabitants. Locked. A fine-looking map of the Orient, indeed. My mother's writing. I picked up her trail. What is she up to? Obviously, she wants to lure Mortimer somewhere, but where? The only clue she's left for Mortimer is this stone sword. It must be intentional. It looks like a decorative sword, like from a statue, for example. And judging by the state of it, I'm guessing it's been left outside for a long time. I have absolutely got to find out where it came from. Something strange about this table. The Little Surgeon's Perfect Collection. Preservation using formaldehyde. Just as disgusting as ever. These are feathers. Pigeon, probably. Strange. I don't recognize the alphabet. I wonder where the pictograms are from. It isn't Egyptian or Hebrew. There are two inscriptions on the sides as well as on the top. No way to know what's underneath. Absolutely no idea what it's for, but I find this cue fascinating. Looks like obsidian or onyx. It must weigh a ton. These are feathers. Pigeon, probably. A skeleton by the name of Gustav, if the plaque on the plinth is anything to go by. That must be for writing the home pigeon messages. chest with a motif representing the alchemical symbol of fire.
Am I seeing things, or is that an actual von Leeuwenhoek microscope? Incredible. Mortimer really is at the cutting edge of science. Even at the Order, it took us ages to get one of those.
Three rusty old nails. They're about 20 centimeters long.
Some goat skulls, chicken legs. Now we all know what that's for.
Look, a pack of tarot cards.
Has he been reading the cards? Mortimer? That would surprise me. It is a typical draw on a line that answers a specific question. To the left, temperance. That announces a reward for one who patiently waits before taking any action. And in the middle, the chariot, which symbolizes triumph and business success. To the right, the emperor evokes a future full of power and stability. Some goat skulls, chicken legs.
Look, a pack of tarot cards.
Has he been reading the cards? Mortimer? That would surprise me.
Locked.
Oh, shit. How am I going to get out of here now? This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. It looks too easy. It could be a trap. It looks like the same as the one on the other side. The mechanism passes through the wall. The wheels are the same on both sides. Chances are the combination I used on the other side works on this side too. Whoa. The grid closes a bit more every time I enter a wrong date. I'd better not mess up again. It doesn't seem to be working.
Oui.
This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side.
Oh, puis personne.
This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side.
Let's go check it.
This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. Are stuck. Shit! I'm cornered like a rat. Someone's coming. Please don't let it be Mortimer. Who is it?
Deliberately avoiding me. 4 years ago I was his favorite, but nowadays I have to ask for an audience with his lordship.
Damn it! Peru. I don't know if I should, but...
Well, that's it. I've had enough of being humiliated.
I'm wasting my time here.
After everything I've done on his behalf, he dares treat me like a lackey? I've bled the Parisian elite for the sake of his whims, and what have I got to show for it? Doesn't even have the courtesy to give me 5 minutes of his time. I wanted to put my mind at ease. Well, that's done. I know what I've got to do now.
I must find my mother. So much for discretion.
Monsieur Peru! It's me! Monsieur de Riche!
What the devil is going on?
I need your help!
Where are you, de Riche?
Behind the painting! Open it, please! I've shut myself in! There's a pedal under Lord Mortimer's desk. Can you see it?
There's no... Hang on. Yes.
Good. Now press it.
Yeah. Done.
You should see something resembling a frame with numbers. Yes? You have to turn them to set the combination. 1191.
Well. Poking our nose into Mortimer's little secrets, are we? You do surprise me.
It's not what you're thinking. I'll explain everything.
No, you will not, sir. It has nothing to do with me, and by the way, I never even saw you. So, I'll be on my way now.
Thanks again. You had me trapped. Why not say anything?
I would have wanted someone to open the door for me, too. And while it's too late for me, it may not be for you.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Goodbye.
I've wasted enough time. I better get moving if I want to find my mother. This painting isn't finished. And it looks like Mortimer probably did it. Not bad, but you can't exactly say it's been done in the style of the period. This note is about a meeting with Lord Mortimer. There's no doubt about it. All right, I need to find out where the sword that came with it's from in order to find Mother.
You're joking, I hope. Don't tell me you've done that.
Really? How do you expect me to guess?
Oh, for God's sake, just ask them. We must absolutely inform Sir Gregory. How long has he been trying to collect all the spears?
I must have brought him the first one 20-odd years ago.
Do you know if he has managed to get the original?
Well, in any case, he's got all the ones we had at the Vatican. He made me replace them with copies. But I don't understand your reaction. I'm sure it is nothing serious.
I can see very well you do not understand. You have done nothing less than sign our death warrants, and still you don't understand.
Someone is listening.
What? Monsieur de Richet, why not join us rather than find yourself eavesdropping?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Of course you didn't. So, my son, what can we do for you?
I was wondering if you might have seen an object like this, here, at the manor.
What are you playing at, de Richet?
I'm afraid I can't help you, my son. Ask someone who knows the manor better than I do. One of the servants, for example. One of them is bound to help you.
Thank you for your advice, Your Eminence. I didn't mean to spy on you, but you caught my attention. Please excuse me if I interrupt, gentlemen. I didn't want to disturb you. Please, carry on. Your Eminence, you were talking about the Holy Spear, if I remember correctly. The one that killed Christ on the cross. Is that right?
Indeed, Louis. I was just telling Mr. von Waldner about the Lord Mortimer's keen interest in the relics. He's been collecting them for years in the hope that he'll find the real one.
Enough. Please leave us, monsieur. His Eminence and I wish to finish our discussion alone.
What can I do for you, sir? I am at your service day and night, sir.
Could you tell me where this sword comes from, please?
Certainly, sir. How did such a sword come into sir's hands?
My good man, I'm afraid you're overstepping your role. You're the one who's supposed to be giving the answers, not me.
Naturally. I hope that sir will forgive me. If I were sir, I would look in the garden. This sword looks like it's from the garden statues.
And how can I get into the garden?
There are two ways, sir. The first way to get to the garden is by the hall, between the conference room and the portrait gallery. The second way is directly through the portrait gallery. Sir would just have to go out by the French windows.
Thank you, my good man. As I was unable to bring my personal effects with me, I was wondering if you could find me a few items.
Of course, sir. What would you require?
You wouldn't have a little golden elixir I could use, would you?
Oh, unfortunately, sir, I have orders not to give any of that medicine to any of Lord Mortimer's guests. Some guests are here to follow a very strict treatment. Mixing or combining certain substances would be dangerous for sir.
Non, peur, ça t'énerve. Je crois qu'il y avait un truc, il fallait collecter 30 pièces. Alors, tu veux le payer au fond.
Actress, the Miller Brothers. Mother expressly forbade me from reading it.
Is everything all right, my young friend?
Wonderful.
Isn't that lovely? Well, see you later.
The sword probably came from this garden, but what could it have been used for? Icarus. The son of Daedalus and Nocrate. Impossible to mistake him with those wings. After flying too close to the sun, they came unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity. I am the innocent one, sacrificed for the sins of the father. Well, let's keep going. A Chinese coin.
Asterion. It is rare to see him like this. In general, he's represented with the head of a bull, with the features of the Minotaur. The famous son of Minos and Pasiphae. I am the cursed child. Asterion was a son of Pasiphae and Minos, or rather the result of a curse put on Minos. Minos was punished for betraying Poseidon. Of course, as strangely it often happens, it wasn't he who was punished, it was his wife. She had to mate with a bull, no less. From that union, Asterion was born, who everyone knows as the famous Minotaur. Rejected by Minos, he was shut up in the labyrinth so he could never leave. And, as if that wasn't bad enough, he died by the hand of a hero desperate to restore his reputation. Technically, Asterion is the victim of the story because he's described as a child cast out from birth. Born from an extramarital union because of the errors of his father, he was treated as an outcast all his life. And he died as innocently as he was born. A tragic story, as the Greeks knew how to do so well. This statue has a crack in it. The crack is thin and about as long as a finger. I should be able to thrust in my sword. Right. We'll soon see. Sorry, Asti. Yet again, your story does not end well. Chromalite water will give me a little reprieve. Asterion. Let's go. Honey, the remedy of the gods. Minos, son of Zeus and Europa. If I remember correctly, he was the king of Crete. Married to Pasiphae, he had many children, including the famous Ariadne, whom history remembers for her thread. Hey, there's a crack in that statue. His gesture sealed his fate. The crack is in the region of the heart. It's a thin crack as long as a finger. A blade could easily enter. Theseus, son of Aegeus. He's the one who slayed the Minotaur. Wrongly positioned, I am the blind hero. I wasn't expecting an inscription like that. Looks like a crack has been made on his torso. It's as long as a finger. I'd say between 6 and 8 centimeters. I wonder if Mother managed to solve this enigma. I wonder what this kiosk is doing in the middle of the garden. Too cramped to be able to do much. Well, there must be something going on there. What is that? Looks like a sort of opening mechanism. Knowing Mortimer, I bet it's booby-trapped. There's a little hole at the fingers. I'm pretty sure if I get it wrong, I'll get pricked. Damn you, Mortimer. Reminds me of traps I studied in Egyptian tombs. Pasiphae, daughter of Perseus and sister of Circe. She married Minos and became the queen of Crete. Deliverance alone suffices not to wash away my humiliation. Alright, let's continue anyways. Daedalus. He's the architect of the labyrinth, and if I'm not mistaken, he's also the father of Icarus. I am the architect of my own demise. Hey, there's a crack in this statue, too. The crack is thin and about as long as a finger.
You again? God damn it, are you following me?
Wouldn't dream of it, sir.
What brings you here?
To tell the truth, I was wondering the same thing about you.
It's rare for guests to wander about in the garden. I wanted to be alone for 5 minutes.
You look worried.
Worried? No. Resolved would be a more exact term.
Resolved to do what?
What's the point in answering? You wouldn't believe me anyway. I'll be leaving now because whatever it is you're up to, I do not want to know. Be seeing ya.
Tell me, aren't you even curious?
Curious? City killed the cat, Monsieur de Richet. I admit, I may have judged you wrongly. Watching you seek out Mortimer's little secrets might even be amusing if I didn't already know the consequences. See you later.
What happened to you, monsieur?
It's time for me to assume the consequences of my choices. I've sold my soul to the devil. Now it's time to pay.
What's wrong? Either I'm imagining things, or my hand was pricked. It had poison on it. My head. I feel hot.
Asterion. Minos. In mythology, King Minos was known as a wise and just king, despite the fact that he deceived Poseidon. As punishment, his country was devastated by the white bull of the sea god, and his wife became passionately in love with it. From their union, Asterion was born, sadly known to us as the Minotaur. The illegitimate child, the child of shame, who had a sorry fate. And to think that Minos ended up as a judge of the underworld. Decidedly, the high and mighty always managed to get away with it. The crack is in the region of the heart. Minos. Theseus. Looks like a crack has been made on his torso. Theseus. He's the son of Aegeus. He became the mythical king of Athens, the unifying king. Pity, he's generally only remembered for having slayed the Minotaur. Let's try something else instead. Pasiphae, daughter of Perseus and sister of Circe. She married Minos and became the queen of Crete. All right, let's continue anyways. Icarus. The son of Daedalus and Nocrate. Impossible to mistake him with those wings. After flying too close to the sun, they came unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity. I am the innocent one, sacrificed for the sins of the father. Well, let's keep going. Ariadne. In Greek mythology, she helped Theseus get through the labyrinth. Looks like there's a crack in the region of the heart.
I guide the sword that will kill the monster. Let's see. Ariadne. I'll try something else. Daedalus. Hey, there's a crack in this statue too. Daedalus. Alright, let's try again. You never know. Minos. In mythology, King Minos was known as a wise and just king, despite the fact that he deceived Poseidon. As punishment, his country was devastated by the white bull of the sea god, and his wife became passionately in love with it. From their union, Asterion was born, sadly known to us as the Minotaur. The illegitimate child, the child of shame, who had a sorry fate. The crack is in the region of the heart. It's up to the just to deliver judgment. Truth unlocks all possibilities.
Again?
You can't be serious, Manuel. You know that's not going to happen.
You must leave me alone now. I have agreed to everything, even to...
Agreed? I wasn't aware you had a choice.
What's going on here?
What now? What else must I do to win back my freedom?
Obey me. Now get out.
What was that? That's the third time in 3 days. Let's see if you're in there, Mother. Amber. Bandages? Someone's been patching themselves up. Looks like my mother took advantage of being in hiding to change her bandages, huh? This is silk. She must have used her own clothes. Damn it, Mother. Now what's happened?
This note is about a meeting with Lord Mortimer. There's no doubt about it. Alright, I need to find out where the sword that came with it's from in order to find Mother.
You're joking, I hope. Don't tell me you've done that.
Really? How do you expect me to guess?
Oh, for God's sake, just ask them. Well...
Pity, but I've got no time to lose.
I am sorry, sir, but the conference room is under preparation and is consequently inaccessible to guests.
You again? God damn it, are you following me?
Wouldn't dream of it, sir.
What brings you here?
I tell you what I'm looking for, Monsieur Peru. Will you promise to keep it to yourself?
Hell no. And anybody who gives you a promise like that is an unmitigated liar. Trust no one, Monsieur Derichet, or you'll soon be a dead man. I bid you good luck. You'll need it.
Icarus. Son of Daedalus and Nocrate. Impossible to mistake him with those wings. After flying too close to the sun, he became unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity. The stone of the statue reminds me of the sword I picked up. I get the feeling I'm back on your trail again, Mother. Hang on a little longer. Well, let's keep going. Minos, son of Zeus and Europa. If I remember correctly, he was the king of Crete. Married to Pasiphae, he had many children, including the famous Ariadne, whom history remembers for her thread. Hey, there's a crack in that statue. The crack is in the region of the heart. wonder what this kiosk is doing in the middle of the garden. Too cramped to be able to do much. Well, there must be something going on there. What is that? Looks like a sort of opening mechanism. Whoa. Again?
You can't be serious, Manuel. You know that's not going to happen.
You must leave me alone now. I have agreed to everything. Even to...
Agreed? I wasn't aware you had a choice.
What's going on here?
What now? What else must I do to win back my freedom?
Obey me. Now, get out!
What was that? That's the third time in 3 days. Let's see if you're in there, Mother. Amber crystals. Bandages? Someone's been patching themselves up. Looks like my mother took advantage of being in hiding to change her bandages, huh? This is silk. She must have used her own clothes. Damn it, Mother. Now what's happened?
Hmm.